to be here today. My name is Megan Lopez, and I'm the National Program Director for the National Alliance for Grieving Children, and I'm joined today by Adam Carter, and Adam is our National Clinical Director with the NACG. We're excited to be with you, and today we want to talk to you about a new project that we've been working on, and it is our When Someone Dies, a preschool activity deck. Adam, can you just give us a little bit of background about how this deck of cards was created?
This project has been designed for caregivers of preschool-aged children. We know that preschoolers have a different level of understanding and definitely a different attention span and activity level. And so we wanted to design something that caregivers could use with this very special age. The project came from a work group that had 20 Alliance members as well as staff come together over a period of time to really collect, refine, and choose activities that the Alliance believed was going to be the most helpful at this point in time. So this activity deck is something that a lot of love, attention, and time has been put into.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about how the cards are organized and laid out.
Sure. So the cards look like a typical kind of a larger activity card with there's a very beautiful picture on front. We've had a graphic artist design all of our cards. So these are unique drawings for our preschool cards, but something designed to engage kind of a preschooler's interest as well. So if a child was flipping through the cards, they would be able to look at them and say, ooh, this one is interesting to me. Tell me what it says, or let's do this one. So the front, all of them have pictures that you and your child would be able to look through. The back is going to have the directions for the activity on it, but the cards themselves are also categorized because we know that there's a very specific thing that a caregiver may be looking for or a specific thing that a child may need. So there's categories such as checking in, transitions, routines, coping, feelings, and connections. So when you're looking for an activity, let's say we're having a young person who may be having a lot of feelings that they don't know what to do with at the time, going to the cards, you can look for the section on feelings. And within those feelings, there are 4 different types of activities, such as music, movement, play, and art, depending on your interest level of your child, or even where you are. Megan, you and I both have been parents of preschoolers and understand that rarely is there a time that we sit down to choose to do activities, but they kind of just come out naturally, whether or not it's in the car and something has triggered their thought process, or that we have a few minutes between bath time and bedtime when they're very curious and creative, and this might be an opportunity for us to do an activity like that. So these cards are designed to help caregivers choose activities that are going to be beneficial to the children they're working with at the time.
Absolutely. I love that. So they're not necessarily designed as a deck of cards that you would go 1 to 52, but that you just pull out when you need it and use it just as a resource in your everyday life.
That's exactly right. Some of these cards you may never use, and that's going to be okay. Some of them you may use over and over. We know that that age group loves to latch on to routine and predictability. So there may be some cards that you're like, whew, we're doing that again. But it's a child's great way of being able to share, I need this support from you right now.
Absolutely. Okay, let's look at a couple of examples of cards today.
Megan, the card that's on the screen now is the Changed Within My Inner Weather. It's an example of something that can be done with a child almost anywhere, where we're talking about weather doesn't stay forever. It changes just like our feelings or our thoughts, right? And so this activity is able to be done in a car, in a restaurant waiting for food to come, but being able to engage the child in movement and talking about how things change, right? And so it's not this we have to sit down and talk about the person who died. We have to sit down and talk about how sad things are. There are times and place for that, but there's also a time and place for working with and helping children understand that grief and death is a part of change. And change is really complicated even for me as an adult. But how do we start to introduce that to a child? This type of card helps with that. Also, I've used this before too, whenever working with preschoolers, to say, it sounds like a storm is brewing up inside of you, to help them understand that those feelings are starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're starting to become unmanageable in that preschool body. And having that language to be able to talk with the child to say, it sounds like there's a storm. How can we help calm the storm? So even having this type of language and having this type of conversation expands beyond the card, but the card is a great place to help start that conversation. There's another one I wanted to show was follow the leader. Follow the leader should look very common to what we're doing, but what it also is designed to do is to help with connection. And there's sometimes during grief and loss and bereavement where it can feel really isolating and lonely regardless of age. So how can we reconnect, and how do we reconnect with a preschool age child? And we do that through play. And so playing and kind of inviting a child to do those type of things and to play with them, but also accepting a child's invitation to play if they bring you the card and say, I want to do this right now, is a great opportunity to help follow the lead. There's some suggestions there on how to add to that as well, which is to potentially even say, okay, follow the leader and maybe show me what you would look like if you were angry. And so the leader then shows kind of what they would look like if they were angry, and then others get to kind of follow suit. But there's ways to add on to these activities that are very familiar, but then add in some different levels to be able to talk to your child about grief and loss and change.
Along with the 37 activities, there are caregiver cards as well. And these caregiver cards are intended to just help the caregiver to work through the different activities, give tips to make the process a little bit easier, and just empower you to have these conversations and do these activities with your child. Thank you so much to Adam for walking us through these cards and these examples today. We appreciate you. If you're interested in these cards, you can download the 2 activities that Adam did for us today and also pre-order the full deck from our website. Thanks to everyone for joining us today.